Live from downtown Detroit, Local 4 News at 11 starts now.
If you dial 911, do you expect an operator to pick up the phone immediately? Well, DPD's chief explaining why that isn't always the case and why that did not happen for about 15 minutes this weekend.
Also, Marysville City Hall packed with people wanting to air their feelings about a controversial candidate who is now out of the city council race.
Rainy weather lingering in parts of Metro Detroit as storms appear to be on the menu for tomorrow.
Let's start there quickly tonight at 11 as the weather tops our stories following several hours of rain here in many parts of our area.
And Ben, we shouldn't expect clear skies tomorrow either.
Not for much of the day, Karen and Devin. It was a kind of a mess going home, and it looks like it's going to be a mess going to work tomorrow. Even though a lot of the widespread rain is taking off towards Lake Huron right now, we're still going to be seeing at least some scattered showers through the nighttime hours and probably during the morning commute tomorrow. This is the way the rest of the overnight looks. Again, it's pretty scattered. Not going to see really widespread stuff, but expect to see a downpour, maybe a rumble of thunder, nothing strong or severe. And this is going to last through the morning commute and even past that point as we get into the mid to later parts of the afternoon. Temperatures starting out in the morning, not far from where we're at right now. That humidity continues to be muggy outside and will stay that way through the day, rising to only the mid 70s. We've got the latest on Tropical Storm Dorian, and it is not good news for Florida. We'll look at that and your holiday weekend forecast ahead. Guys?
All right, thank you, Ben. Turning now to concerns about Detroit's 911 system after some people's calls about a deadly crash went unanswered.
Tonight, the police chief explains why operators did not immediately pick up the calls in the moments following a motorcycle crash that killed Michael Blackwell over the weekend. Jermont Terry live at DPD headquarters tonight, where a supervisor is under investigation surrounding this case. Jermont.
That is correct, Devin. And, there are a lot of questions about what happened, and the looming concerns are about what did not take place. As you mentioned, we know that one supervisor is under internal investigation, or they started an investigation because of his actions. And DPD, they're also providing an outline about why the operators did not pick up the phone immediately.
When you call 911, you expect someone to pick up. But over the weekend, when friends of Michael Blackwell dialed 911 after he crashed his motorcycle in Detroit, they insist no one answered.
You expect a human to answer the phone. Yes, not a recording that tells you that no one's available right now.
Yet the recording did greet Blackwell's friends and other 911 callers in Detroit Saturday night. At the time of the crash, Chief James Craig says 54 emergency 911 calls came into the dispatch in 15 minutes, and that forced the system to go into a recorded prompt. Blackwell's friends admit they kept calling every time the recording picked up.
The same person kept calling back, and in doing so, it went to a voice prompt.
Chief Craig says in extreme circumstances, when the prompt picks up, all callers should stay on the line.
If they hang up and call back, they go to the end again, if that makes sense. So we want to make sure that the community knows that if you run into a situation where you go into a voice prompt after dialing 911, stay on the line.
In this case, the family argues a police car drove by while they were in distress.
And seen the whole incident and just kept going.
I don't have the answers yet as to why the supervisor didn't stop.
And for that reason, DPD launched an investigation. The timeline, according to police, shows 11:19, the first call about the crash got through to dispatch. By 11:25, EMS arrived. That supervisor drove by at 11:39. And the first squad car arrived at 12:05 a.m.
And a major part of that internal investigation is to determine exactly why the supervisor, despite seeing the scene, did not stop and even get out of his car and see what was going on. Reporting live outside DPD headquarters, Jermont Terry, Local 4.
Well, Jermont, I'm wondering if we know how many operators were actually working that night.
Well, Devin, we do. According to Chief Craig, he said they had about 15 people working, and 15 to 17 is the normal staff. So he alleges that they were on the normal staff. It's just so many people called in that 15-minute time frame and tied up the line.
All right, Jermont.
Now to a Local 4 update. A fugitive is back behind bars after a morning shootout with police in Harrison Township. Police say that incident with 32-year-old Clint Washington Jr. happened near North Point Parkway and 16 Mile Road. Members of the Detroit Task Force fired shots at Washington when he tried hitting them with his car before escaping. Washington was wanted for a felony warrant in the city of Detroit.
It was the candidate forum that made Marysville go national after one of the candidates shocked everyone by saying she thought the city of Marysville should remain as white as possible.
And tonight, that woman has bowed out. But tonight, our Mara McDonald was at City Hall, packed with people wanting to talk it out.
It was a packed house here tonight, and in many ways, Gene Kramer's hurtful and awful comments have really sparked a thoughtful and healthy public debate here.
The reason why the world is blowing up right now is because we're afraid to talk and talk. Is that okay? Can I say that? Can't I say that? When can I say it? When can we have these conversations? We need to get into a place where we as people can actually say, is it all right for me to say this? Can I say this is my black friend? Can I say this is my white friend? Will that offend you? I care enough about you to ask these questions.
Again and again at the mic tonight, people wanting to have the discussion.
And I think that it's a dialogue that somehow or other we could address.
I hope Marysville and the rest of St. Clair County will use this moment as a teachable moment. It is a time for us to have a serious discussion about race relation and how we can learn to live together.
When City Council candidate Gene Kramer opened her mouth last week and went on a racist rant, there was a collective gasp. When she doubled down on her comments the next day, it made national news.
We've been living here long enough to know that we like the white people, and we have nothing against black people. We have nothing against black people at all, nothing at all. What is not right is when you have mixed marriage.
Tonight, Kramer says she's withdrawing from the race, something Congressman Paul Mitchell, who represents this area, says didn't come fast enough.
This woman needs to crawl back in the cave that she crawled out of and stay there, because that's not America. That's not this country.
One thing to be aware of, Gene Kramer's name will still appear on the ballot here simply because she withdrew after the deadline. We're in Marysville. I'm Mara McDonald, Local 4.
Mara, a man from Westland is now charged in the death of a 23-year-old woman whose body was found in Hines Park on Friday. Prosecutors say 25-year-old Anthony Kestelut choked 23-year-old Olivia Rossi to death in his home and then dumped her body in the park. Kestelut is charged with mutilating and moving a body, though not charged with the murder of Rossi. We do understand more charges could be on the way once the medical examiner determines the cause of death.
An Oklahoma judge ruling against drug maker Johnson & Johnson in a landmark case in the opioid epidemic. The judge ruling the company is responsible for stoking the opioid crisis in Oklahoma. The company must now pay $572 million in damages. In his ruling, the judge accuses the drug maker of using misleading information to downplay the risks of opioids. The decision marks the first U.S. ruling holding a drug maker accountable for fueling the epidemic.
Today, Judge Bachman has affirmed our position that Johnson & Johnson, motivated by greed and avarice, is responsible for the opioid epidemic in our state. Johnson & Johnson will finally be held accountable for thousands of deaths and addiction caused by their activities.
Johnson & Johnson says it plans to appeal the ruling.
Wow, what a decision. Still ahead tonight at 11, a dog found by the side of the road with signs of abuse. But we'll have a look at why police say it was all a hoax by the dog's owner.
Plus, how would you react if you saw this sign lit up on the back of a public bus? Grand Rapids police are explaining what went wrong, making people fear that a bus had been hijacked. Steve.
Legendary figure skating coach Richard Callahan given a lifetime ban from the sport for alleged sexual abuse of a minor. The victim, Adam Schmidt, sits down with me to tell his painful story.
Hey parents, are you ready for back to school?
He's going into kindergarten. He's ready. I'm just not ready.
My excitement is for them because they love school supplies.
I'm excited for her to have these new experiences.
Ready or not, Local 4 News Today is here to help.
All this week, we're testing products to help your kids kick their school year off in style.
Tomorrow, these things let your kids show off their unique style, but do they work?
There's a school kid in all of us.
Watch on Local 4 News Today.